On the Spot takes you to Lunenburg, home of the Bluenose. This is Bob Anderson of the National Film Board. Lunenburg is a fishing town on the south shore of Nova Scotia. It was settled just over 200 years ago by people mainly from Germany. Bluenose, as anyone who knows the maritime provinces can tell you, is a name often attached to people who come from Nova Scotia, particularly those who have something to do with the sea. But that's not the Bluenose we mean. It's this one, the most famous fishing schooner ever to sail to the Grand Banks. This is a model I got years ago from Mr. Zink, who was foreman of the yards in Lunenburg, where the Bluenose was built. The Bluenose was undefeated champion of the North Atlantic from 1921 until she sailed her last race in 1938. She's at the bottom of the ocean now, I'm sorry to say, so of course you won't see her in our film. But you will meet her famous skipper, Angus Walters. Bluenose wasn't a pleasure craft, she was a working boat. She was one of the biggest of the fish carriers and high liner of the fleet. You'll find that the people of Lunenburg haven't forgotten her. You don't see sails like this much anymore. This is the age of power. But the people of Lunenburg still look to the sea, and fishing and boat building are still among their principal industries. We're going to take you there now to join Fred Davis and a Film Board crew.
When I was in my prime, I flourished like a vine. There came along a false young man who stole away my who stole away my time. Now the gardener standing by, 3 offers he gave to me. The pink, the violet, and red rose, but I refused all 3, but I refused all 3. Now the violet fades too soon, and the pink's no flower for me. I guess I'll pluck out the red rose, boys, and plant the willow tree, and plant the willow tree. Now the willow tree shall twist, and the willow tree shall twine. I wish I was in that young man's arms, the one, the love of mine, the one, the love of mine.
This is Fred Davis speaking to you from Lunenburg on the south shore of Nova Scotia. Just there beyond the harbor is the Atlantic Ocean. This is Exhibition Week in Lunenburg. Each year they hold a fisheries exhibition that has become famous all over Canada. Fishing still flourishes as one of the major industries here, and the docks at Lunenburg Sea Products are busy all year round. I'd like you to meet Doug Pike, the manager of Lunenburg Sea Products. And I guess, Doug, you're also the manager of the exhibition this year, aren't you?
Yes, I've taken that on as well.
Just what happens at your exhibition?
The exhibition is a community effort. We have 2 large parades, water sports participated in by the fishermen, buildings of exhibits from suppliers of materials to the fishing industry.
I noticed that the work still goes on during exhibition week.
And the men all want to get home for the exhibition, so when they bring the fish in, we have to handle them.
And just what happens to the fish once you get it unloaded from the boats?
Take them into the plant and process them into fresh and frozen fillets.
Would you say that the fishing is as good now as it was out of Lunenburg?
Yes, except there's been a change in method of fishing. But formerly we had about 120 schooners fishing under sail for 7 months in the year. We now have about 40 powered boats fishing 12 months in the year and landing more fish than formerly.
I think I'll get to the main street now, Doug. I'd like to get to know the town a little better before exhibition starts.
Fine, Fred. See you at the parade.
Hello, Diane.
Hello, Fred.
I hear you're leaving Lunenburg soon. Is that so?
Yes, I'm going to Halifax. I'll be teaching singing there.
Well, hey, I enjoyed that song I heard you singing. What was it?
Oh, that's an old Nova Scotian folk song. I don't think it has a title. I just used the first line, When I Was in My Prime.
Oh, yes.
I guess we Lunenburgers have been singing that for over 100 years.
Well, I wanted to speak to your father about Lunenburg history. Is he around now?
I think so, yes. Just a moment. Dad?
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Oxner. I wanted to ask you about all these German names here in Lunenburg. Names like Zwicker and your own, Oxner, and Eisenhower.
Oh, they used to pronounce that Eisenhower.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. And there's the Himmelmans and the Frittenbergs, the Krauses, the Conrads. In fact, this was originally a German settlement, but they don't speak German anymore.
I see. Well, they tell me that there's a population here of about 2,800, and most folks in town are pretty well off. Just how do the people of Lunenburg make their money?
Oh, the most of them make it from the deep sea fishing. And a lot of the men, they work in the processing plants and the Lunenburg foundry, which is one of the largest in the Maritimes. And then there's a large tourist trade at the present time, which takes up quite a bit of the slack.
I see.
Perhaps, here's Mr. Burke. Perhaps he could tell you more about it.
Fine. Hello, Mr. Burke.
How do you do?
Mr. Oxner has just suggested that you can tell me some more about what makes Lunenburg tick.
Well, you see, I'm not a native of Lunenburg. I hail from Moncton, New Brunswick. I've been living here for some 15 years and like it very much, of course. I wouldn't live any other place. Of course, Lunenburg, and what makes it tick, we have many organizations, our Board of Trade, numerous ones, and most of us have to belong to half a dozen of these various committees to keep the activities going. For instance, this week we have the Fisheries Exhibition. Well, that started years ago as just a fisherman's picnic. Fishermen's gathered here for a couple of days, and, the usual games, tug-of-war, fat man's races, and so forth. And with the energy of some of the local citizens, it developed into one of the biggest exhibitions in the Dominion of Canada today. And you'll probably see some of the big shows, big displays during the week here.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, see you around town.
Okay, Mr. Burke. I've been finding out about Lunenburg from quite a few people now. I'd like to know what the younger generation thinks about it.
Oh, I guess we like it okay. Hey, gang?
Oh, it's all right.
Would you say it was the most?
Crazy, man.
I see you dig. Well, now, what do you do for entertainment?
Well, there's tennis, golf, boating, and all the things going on at the community center.
Yes, and there's several good places to swim.
And also, I might say that there are a couple of restaurants with jukeboxes where the teenagers more or less gather after school.
I suppose you could make one Coke last a long time, can you?
Yes, that's right. Yes. So when I'm broke, I usually order a soda with 2 straws.
Yes, and I have to pay for it, too.
Well, say, what are those chimes for?
That's Mr. Amberg up at the church.
Oh, where would I go to see him playing them?
Well, I guess we could take him there. Couldn't we?
Sure, let's go.
Fine.
See you later, kid.
I certainly appreciate this. My name's Fred Davis.
How do you do? This is Mr. Selig's blacksmith shop. It's over 100 years old.
Well, it's certainly a beautiful team of oxen.
Yes, it is.
Oh, dear, come on, see, come along.
No, Mr. Seeley?
Those are some animals, Mr. Seelig.
Yes, sir.
Just how much could that team pull?
Well, 10 tons, sir.
10 tons.
Yes, sir.
That's a tremendous load. I suppose you work them every day.
Yes, sir, every day.
Find Mr. Amberg right up there behind that front window.
Okay, thanks. Certainly a beautiful church.
And a very old one, too.
Yes, it's the second oldest Protestant church in the North American continent.
Wow.
The oldest one is in Halifax.
The church was built in 1754. Before that, they held open-air services on this spot.
Well, you're certainly up on your town history.
Oh, I think we all are. My great-great-grandfather was a hero in the war with the United States in 1782. He lived at Blue Rocks. That's where the Yanks landed. He ran the whole 5 miles to Lunenburg to warn the town people. He was shot at twice, but still managed to get there.
Well, those must have been very exciting times.
Yes, we didn't stay up there with Mr. Amberg too long. The parade will soon be starting.
Okay, fine. Thanks. Mr. Ironberg. I hope you didn't mind me just walking up here.
No, not a bit.
I wanted to see how the chimes are played.
Sure, would you like to try them?
Oh, very much. I won't be disturbing the rest of the town, will I?
Oh, not a bit.
Now, you just press down?
That's right.
Say, that's quite a weight.
It certainly is.
I imagine that's taken an awful lot of practice to be able to play them the way you can.
It has, quite a bit. I've been playing them for 12 years. My father played them for 33.
Is that so? You're following along in his footsteps then, eh?
Yes.
I'd like to see the chimes themselves. Is there some way up there?
Sure, come right along, right up this way.
They look very old.
Yes, they were installed in 1902.
Oh. Lovely tone.
Yes, and it carries all over the town. And in fact, across the water, over there to Spindler's Hook Cove.
Say, that's quite a view you get from up here.
Yes, I believe that the parade is starting.
Well, if that's the case, I'd better get down there. Thanks very much, Mr. Ironberg.
Quite welcome.
What are this? These the school children here?
Yes, those are the school children, primary and grade 1. And following it are the float with the oxen leading, grades 2 and 3. We have something special coming up here. That's the Eastern Star float. It's very attractively decorated, and it's an order that's well known the world over.
Oh, there's Gene Swartz driving the Jeep, I noticed there.
That's right, Fred. This is Powers Brothers. Very attractive float. They're the local plumbing and heating hardware firm. That sure represents a lot of work, doesn't it, Fred?
I should say it does.
Fred, here's a group of Indians complete with teepee. Just look how they're collared up. Their clothing is typical of the real old Indian style. Micmac Indian Village. They're representative of Mater's Cove. By the way, have you been down to the shipyards yet?
No, I haven't, but I'd like to see them.
All right, and when you go down, just ask for Fred and John Rule. I'm sure they'd be glad to show you around.
Fine, I'll remember that. Are the original Smith and Ruland still active in the business?
No, my father, Mr. Smith, retired in 1942. Fred, my brother, and went south taking over the business from that time.
Well, I'll certainly be interested in seeing around the shipyard.
Charlie. Right. Meet Mr. Fred Davis, Charlie Uggla.
Oh, Charlie, pleased to meet you.
Charlie, show Fred around the place and show him the doings.
Sure, be glad to do so.
Thanks very much, Mr. Ruland. See you later.
Now we have 3 dry docks here. And this here is a fishing schooner up for minor repairs. A few stop waters and a piece of planking. Now over here is a fishing dragger. She's in for a refit. She's getting some gallus sheeting on and also her engine under refit.
Out here, Charlie.
Well, this is Harry McKinnon, one of our divers. He's been down repairing the runway to the dry dock.
Is he all finished?
No, he just started out in the smoke.
How long have you been down there, Harry?
About an hour.
How do you feel now after all that?
Oh, pretty good. That isn't much, though. Sometimes stay down a half day.
Half a day?
Yeah.
Doesn't bother you?
No. You get used to it after a while.
I suppose you fellas have some system worked out, have you, for getting signals back and forth?
Oh, yes. We have about 18 or 20 also. Shake would stop anything. Pull and shake starboard, 2 and shake port. 4 inshore, 4 and shake outshore. 3 to come up. Klein has a lot more here. He knows a lot of it.
Pull and shake hammer, 2 shakes wedges.
That sounds awfully complicated.
Yeah, it's a kind of a code we work out between us.
I suppose that cigarette tastes pretty good, does it?
Oh, yes. That's a good cigarette.
Well, that's going to make some sportsmen very happy.
Sure, it's got everything.
She has plastic, dual control, solid mahogany.
Seems a shame to cover up all that mahogany with paint.
Well, the reason for that, she goes into southern waters. The sun down there, varnish won't stand it.
Well, I wouldn't mind some of that sun myself right now.
Yeah, all right. Oh, Fred, you see that empty space down there?
Yes.
Well, that's where the Bluenose was built.
Oh, of course. You built the Bluenose here.
Sure. You got a dime in your pocket.
Well, I just might have. Yes?
You see that? That's the Bluenose.
Well, for goodness sake. All the times I've seen a diamond, I never knew that was a picture of the Bluenose.
Yeah. If you'd like to know more about it, our skipper is still here in town.
Oh, where would I find him?
He runs a dairy over here. If you'd like, I'd take you over.
Good. I'd like that very much. So the famous Captain Walters is running a dairy now, is he?
Yeah, he's been here since he retired sailing.
Well.
You'll find him right inside the door.
Fine. Well, thanks very much for all your trouble, Charlie.
No trouble.
Bye. Captain Walters?
Yes?
I come over to find out something about the Bluenose.
Come in, sit down.
Thank you. I'm afraid there's a whole new generation of Canadians coming along that doesn't know too much about the Bluenose.
Well, one thing I can tell you, they could never build a boat to beat them.
That's so.
That's right.
I'd like to find out, first of all, just how did she come to be built?
Well, you know, you heard about the Sir Thomas Lipton and the Sopwith races over there, these American yachts. And
Yes.
English yachts. Well, the people actually got a little bit, I would say, fed up on those boats because when there come a nice day for them, they'd lay to the moorings and say it was too much wind. Then they decided that these Nova Scotia fishermen down here might give them a real race if they could get them the race. Fortunately enough, they had no trouble in that because as soon as we found out about it, we were very anxious to race. If you therefore had a race off of Halifax and our Canadian boat, the Delawarna, beach, among our own fishermen. It was then that the Haligonians, or the Canadians, in other words, got anxious to challenge the Americans. Americans sent a boat down, and I might say, unfortunately, beat our Canadian boat. Therefore, it was nothing else to do then. They decided but to build a boat.
And that was the Bluenose, eh? Is it possible that if the Canadian boat had won, there might never have been a Bluenose?
Oh, I wouldn't say that, because the Americans would have started building, and probably they'd have beat our Canadian boat after a while.
Then you'd have done something about it.
Then, no doubt, we'd have had to build one down here.
Was the Bluenose built specifically for racing?
Oh, no. She had her own way fishing.
Oh.
She was built commercially for fishing and racing.
And she was built here in Lunenburg, was she?
On March 26, 1921, she slid down the waves into the waters of Lunenburg Harbor.
And you took over then, did you, as master?
I did.
How did you feel when you started sailing her? Did you know right away that you had an unusual vessel?
Well, I wouldn't say I knew right away, but shortly after that, meeting up with some of our own fishing boats, I could tell that there was something different about her that I thought she was going to prove a success as far as her sailing qualities was concerned.
Now, when you matched her against the Americans, did you have any doubt about the outcome?
Well, I wouldn't just say that you didn't feel a little bit dubious, but still in all, I knew I was sailing against an old boat.
Oh, yes.
And I felt, by the performance that the Bluenose had did in our fisherman's race and true fishing, that I still felt I could beat the American boat, on which we had no trouble in beating her.
And that proved the case after you beating the newer American boats later, did it?
Well, that caused the building of the new American boats, and of course, they had to build every year.
I see.
I guess if the Bluenose was still in existence, they'd still be building, in my opinion about them.
I suppose you've had some pretty narrow escapes, have you, in the sailing of the Bluenose?
Yes, we had twice that I was just in doubt who was going to win out. But actually, the Bluenose then proved herself a real boat at those times. Because I know different boats I sailed that I'd have been in those same breezes of wind with those boats, so I
we wouldn't be sitting here talking today.
So she was just as seaworthy as she was fast, eh?
The rougher it got, I don't know. There was something about her, the more she liked it. Or she was different about, there's no question about that.
Well, Captain Walters, what actually happened to the Bluenose? What was the story there?
Well, the Bluenose ran ashore on a reef down south. Unfortunately, or unfortunately, I would say that she only ran up on this reef about halfway, which caused one part to be in deep water and the other up in the rocks, caused it to break in two. But the crew got all off of her safely. There was no danger of any of them being lost.
You weren't master at this time, were you?
Oh, no.
Well, I imagine they must have been wonderful times back in the old fishing fleet days of Lunenburg.
There was, but there's a number of other captains around now, home here for the exhibition. I should like to have a talk to some of them.
Yes, I would, very much.
Come on, let's have a walk down around the dock, see if we can't find some of them.
Fine.
Fred, I'd like to introduce to you here two well-known captains who used to be members of the crew on the Bluenose while racing with me. Captain George Himmerman.
How do you do, Captain?
Glad to know you, Fred.
And Captain Joe Himmerman.
Pleased to meet you, Captain.
In fact, the nephew here of Captain George.
Well,
Two other captains, Fred, I'll introduce to you. The same. They will be members of the crew while racing with me on the Bluenose. Captain Allen.
how do you do, Captain Allen?
Captain Close.
Pleased to meet you, sir. I wanted to find out from you gentlemen some more of the old days of the fishing fleets out of Lunenburg.
Well, Fred, this sailing with the grace of God, you know, wasn't altogether a gloomy picture all the while, because there were times that we had a little fun, too. There always was congregated a bunch of us together in some harbor or another, and you know what it is. That's right. That's right, George.
How you doing in the shore?
Sure? Yeah. Same as what you done. You know that without me asking.
But how about the actual excitement under sail? That must have been very enjoyable, wasn't it?
Well, once you got on the sail, a good stiff breeze, what we call a fall-off breeze, then we'd say you had a bone in the face.
Yeah, good old days.
Did you prefer rough weather?
Well, happy days.
Well, there was times that rough weather, we got a kick out of it, but there was times again that we didn't like to see it too rough, because we had men that we had to put in dories, not like they do now. Stick a drag out of stone, everybody stay on deck. I think Captain Close there has got great experience on that, and he can bear me out in that all right.
Well, I didn't sail on the sailing with mainsail and stuff like that. I just started sailing in 33, and then it was coming to just 4 oars, 3 oars, jumbo forth and riding sail, and power. So I can't agree with these old fellas so much.
You think it's easier now, do you, Captain?
Oh, it's much easier now with it. And I tell you, as far as sailing, it's really nothing now with all power. You have all your aids to navigation, and you know exactly where you are within the half mile all the time. It's your Loran.
That is not fun, though.
Looks to me as if the water sports are about starting, and I think we better get moving.
They're held right out here in the harbor, are they, Captain?
Oh, yes.
I don't want to miss that.
The finish of another fisherman's dory race at Lunenburg.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Eisler and Langell were the winners. They're the undefeated champions from Indian Point. They've won this race for 15 years steady. This is the start of the Lunenburg Yacht Club race, Fred. They're locally owned boats, and they're all competing. They'll follow a course which goes out around that breakwater, and they'll actually take about 3 hours to finish this race.
And what'll be happening here in the meantime?
Well, most of the folks will watch the yachts go out the harbor, and that'll complete the water sports they'll be carrying on up to the exhibition from here.
Oh, fine. I think I'll go up with them.
This is a typical exhibition crowd, Fred. They've turned out in grand style to ride the midway, play the games, and see the fisheries exhibits, and just generally have a good time.
What's this going on over here, Lloyd?
Oh, that? Well, that must be the start of the children's parade. There's a lot of effort every year put into this parade, both by the parents and the children, Fred. And I might add that everybody enjoys it.
The Queen of the Sea, she presides over the children's parade, and she's seated over there between those two very pretty princesses, and she's reigning over this year's children's parade. There's the Bluenose.
Yes, Captain Walter should be here to see that.
Oh, Fred,
I've been making note. Very well, thanks, Doug. I've seen a lot of Lunenburg and made a lot of friends as well. I suppose you've been busy since I saw you last.
Quite busy. We've come to the end of another successful exhibition.
This children's parade pretty well wraps things up, does it?
It wraps the exhibition proper up. Then we come into our Christmas memorial service, which is held each year either as a memorial or a Thanksgiving service, depending whether or not lives have been lost.
The townspeople of Lunenburg have come down to the harbor to leave a wreath in memory of the one Lunenburg fisherman who lost his life at sea during the past year. The first ship leaving port after this ceremony will carry the wreath out to the open sea.
The wreaths are to be placed first the anchor of the town of Lunenburg. The second wreath, the wife and family of Millage Mostman. Are there any others who have flowers to place at this time? These wreaths will be deposited on the sea later, take the sea by the first outgoing schooner.
So please, Almighty God, of his great mercy, take unto himself the soul of thy servant here departed. His body being committed to the earth, turned to corruption, looking for the resurrection of the body. And the sea and the earth shall give up his dead, and the life of the world to come through our Lord Jesus Christ, who at his coming shall change man's corruptible body like unto his glorious body, whereby he will subdue all things unto himself. I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, from henceforth, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord, even so saith the Spirit, for they rest from their labors. Amen.
Our week in Lunenburg is over, and it's much too short a time to appreciate fully the traditional warmth and hospitality of this town and its people. This is Fred Davis speaking to you from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia.
Come, all young fishermen, listen to me. I'll sing you a song of the fish of the sea. The herring came saying, I'm king of the seas. If you want any wind, I'll blow you a breeze. Next came a cod with his charcoal head. He went to the main chains to heave at the lead. Last came the flounder as flat as the ground. Says, damn your eyes, chucklehead, mind how you sound. Then blow, ye winds westerly, westerly blow. We're bound to the southward, so steady she goes.
You've been visiting with Fred Davis and a film board crew in Lunenburg. On the Spot is a production of the National Film Board. The film was directed by Ernest Reed and photographed by Eugene Boyko. Sound engineer was Chester Beachell, and the narrator was Fred Davis. Story material for the film was by Norman Klenman, and the film was edited by Ken Healy-Ray and produced by Robert Anderson.